This is the fitness representative, and this is the debut show of the Fitness Report, brought to you by IntellectualRadio.com. The number to call in today is 708-223-8953. So call in. Special episode today, special taping, special viewing. Got all my people out there on Facebook Live. I'm gonna be streaming live, like I said, from the studio. We got Intellectual Radio, and we got an important topic today for our debut. The topic is why. Why is the topic? Okay. All right. Everybody works out. Everybody stays in shape. Everybody wants to live their best life. But we got one question. The question is why. And this is brought to you by the fitness representative. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a fitness professional. But above everything else, I'm a man who likes to live my life to the fullest. And seeing that that's the case, and I want that to continue to be that way, I basically had to come up with a reason to, kind of push that and make that, put that to the forefront of my lifestyle. So one of my mentors, the great Todd Durkin, um, Under Armour professional performance trainer, former professional quarterback. He told me, why are you doing it? He just asked the question during one of his classes one day. He wanted to know why, and that was a huge question for me. Everybody wants to be in shape. Everybody has their reasons. Everybody has their goals, and you got your short term and long term goals. Everybody wants to be a part of a good situation, and the way you go about getting there is not always, you know, the best way or the most, efficient or the most popular way. But that question is always the same. Why? Why do you want to do it? So, like I said, this is our new show. We're gonna be on Fridays, and we basically gonna, hit you with topics dealing with health, fitness, lifestyle, just to, try to help you guys live your best life. It's an informational program. It's also an entertainment program. Sometimes we're going to come at you with workouts, a couple of demonstrations. So be here for the ride. Like I said, we're on Intellectual Radio and we're streaming live. So I want you guys to really, pay attention. We're going to have guest speakers on. We're going to have people who come in and kind of, push the narrative. All right. So like I said, 708-223-8953. I want you to call in because we want to get into why we do it. We want to get into why we do it. Okay. Now, I'll give you my why. All right. We got a special guest coming in a few. And just to give you the little short about him, he's part of my why. Growing up as a teenager out in Harvey, Illinois, growing up in the city and just having the influences of the good and the bad. Everything we did was based off of a particular reason. Everything we participated in was based off a particular reason. It was always something for us to kind of tune in and see, whether good or bad, and really make a choice as to, why will we continue this or why will we even do such and such. And being that I'm an inner city youth, in order to get, out of the way, sometimes you turn into physical sports, you turn into physical fitness, you turn to things that kind of got you away from the everyday. So my why became to get out, to get out of the way. Didn't want to really gang bang, didn't want to sell drugs, and didn't want to do those things. But I did want to be a part of something that was going to grow one day. And in order to do that, I had to grow myself. So my why became just to be the best, the best Jabori that I could be, seeing that the only other choice was to, do the knucklehead thing. And no one wants to do that. So, you might as well find something that that can kind of keep you out of the way of the bad and in the spotlight and the possibility of doing good things. Okay, so you know, growing up, I started to play sports. You know, played for Harvey Colts, uh, small fry basketball, and you know those things around the neighborhood, and just played a lot of sports with my friends. And I remember a a, a, a friend of my mom telling me, "Hey, you know, one day when you grow up, shout out to Deborah Morris. One day when you grow up, you know, you got the potential to have a nice body." And Deborah's boyfriend at the time was this jacked up bodybuilder guy. And I remember I used to see him all the time. And also, I used to see my aunt Rashay's uh, boyfriend and husband at the time. He was a bodybuilder. So I'm like, man, I want to be a bodybuilder one day. So that became my why. And as you get older, you know, you say, all right, well, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna say, you know, just stay in shape. So um, I started to play sports, and I ended up moving to Michigan right before like my third year in high school. I moved to Michigan, and I met this guy. I met this man. I met this special person, you know, named Kenneth Jackson. And like I said, he's gonna be here in a minute. But I met this special person who would pretty much change my life forever because the course that I was on, you know, it wasn't bad. You know, I didn't get bad grades or any of the other things, but I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. And when I met Kenneth Jackson along with the members of the basketball team in little Covert, Michigan, little small town full of brown folks, full of melanated people. And I'm wondering, you know, never lived there before. I used to go visit sometimes, but never ever like had that country influence, you know. Um, but I wanted to know what it was and what was going on in this small town because they were playing ball, they were champions, they were really competitive. They were they were like a non-conference team, so we would travel around the whole damn Michigan, you know, playing basketball. And I'm wondering, you know, what town is this? Like, it wasn't even on the map. The town is literally about 2,000 people. And get to this town, I go to this school. I'm in a culture shock instantly because the school is probably about the size of probably a little bit smaller than my freshman class in Harvey. And I'm wondering what is going on. You know, how can I even come here? I felt like I got sent to like to a prison or a camp or something. But I go in and I meet this guy, and I meet this guy by the name of Kenneth Jackson. Like I said, I got introduced to him by a couple of the players, Curly and Derek. They were already on the team, and I had heard these horror stories about this guy and how he was so tough and how he basically drove you into the ground, um, you know, during practices and you know just the rigmarole of the season. He made sure he gave that you gave him 1,000% of who you are. So they take me to this man, and I see him. He's a big man. He's a tall man, but he kind of looked like me. You know, we same a little bit darker than me, but we kind of similar color. He a little bit taller, but he just reminded me of a brother man. You know, walked around so cool and smooth, and you know, he was someone who you would see, and instantly you would look up to him. You know, you don't got to hear him speak, don't got to hear him talk. He give you that little grin, and you got to look up to him. Now, mind you, this is 25 years ago or something like that. 24, 25 years ago. And you know, I'm coming from Harvey, I'm coming from Chicago to Michigan. I'm like, man, it's not, you know, it's nothing that can't be handled. But when I met this guy, a native of Detroit, he became instantly special. He became instantly special. He became a father figure, and all I wanted to do was make the varsity team just so I can be attached to that man. Okay, I couldn't be on the junior varsity team. Shout out to shout out to all my fellow classmates who didn't make varsity that year. Sorry y'all, but I couldn't go to Michigan and not make the varsity team. So I get on the varsity team and I'm face to face with that man. I'm face to face with that man, and it was almost like being face to face with a lion or a gorilla or some type of animal that you can't control, but you're gonna have to do what he says for the simple fact you can't control him, and he just can outdo you. So in that, just that in itself explained to me that hey, this wasn't gonna be one of those run of the mill. You the city boy, and I'm the country coach, and I'm a conform to what you say because you a city boy. It wasn't that. So we're gonna go over some stories because I know he got a lot to say once he get here, and we pretty much gonna go into what it was to be a bulldog, what it was to represent your team and your family at that time, especially coming from someone who wasn't from there and who didn't really grow up in that environment, who really didn't buy into that system, and how when you finally was a part of it, you came in, you did your thing, and you basically you conformed, you got strong, you got smart, um you really bought into the system and you got some success out of it, and above everything else you got some experiences that you could never forget, and that you can carry with you for the rest of your life around the world. So yeah, Dr. Jackson will be here. And like I said, we're gonna go into the why. So if you guys are interested, call in. The number again is 708-223-8953. This is the debut show of the Fitness Representative. And like I said, we're going with why. I myself, I'm into the whole fitness thing, period. Yeah. Okay. So it's all about staying in shape. It's all about compromising with the clients, and really kind of like not expecting too much, but um, making sure you get the most out of what you got in that person. Okay, I'll give you a little background on me. Um, Former United States Marine, um, war vet, OIF, OEF one. Um, this is
Turning up at the point of a drive. Flex, turn up. Flex, turn up. The details, boy, you know I shut it down. I don't even need a ground. Flex, turn up. Flex, turn up. Turn me off, want me here to turn up. Dollars on my mind, swag, loaded like a gun. Burning up, got that drunk thing in my cup. Even if he looking at my gun, my bag is straight. Ain't got no time for no extra. Move around, see you later. Crawling like a mata, killing them, no they got. Find me since they wreck, yeah, I got. What I do, transport to my spot. Think I'm turning up at the point of a drop. Flex, turn up. Flex, turn up. The details, boy, you know I shut it down. I don't even need a ground. Flex, turn up. Flex, turn up. The details, boy, you know I shut it down. Taking on my face, probably see me around town. Turning up all night, feeling so
And so now we're back. Fitness Report brought to you by the Fitness Representative, streaming live on IntellectualRadio.com. Like I said, the call-in number is 708-223-8953. And we're here with a special guest today. This is the debut show, so I had to bring him on. First time I get to talk, he get to talk. So without further ado, I bring to you guys Dr. Kenneth Jackson, former coach of the Cobra Bulldogs, public speaker, uh, military vet, philanthropist, teacher, doctor, father, Dr. Kenneth Jackson.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be introduced in such a manner. I'm honored to be here today.
Honored to have you. So basically, we live, of course. You
Yes,
already know.
yes.
Say hi, D.
Hello, everybody. What's up, everybody out there?
Yeah. So I know we got a lot of listeners out there from Covert. Like I said, I had to bring on my mentor, my father figure, someone who helped change my life, and without this man right here, things might be different today. Who knows, you know? But just to start it off, I want you to tell them a little something about yourself. I softly introduced you.
Well, it's a long story as to why I'm here. But when I look back on my life, I know that I was here to serve young people because I was one of those kids who didn't see light at the end of the tunnel, not having a father, not having some of the things other kids had from a broken home. My mom had 9 kids, and 7 of us had different fathers. So there was very little hope that I saw for myself. So upon graduating from high school, I joined the Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. I was honored to serve the country, honored to guard the President of the United States of America. Upon that, I was a first college graduate, got my master's and my bachelor's and my doctorate in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at Nova Southeastern University, a feat that many in my family didn't see possible. I was honored to become a teacher and working with young people, where I met Gabori. I was a high school business teacher. And not just Gabori, but I have so many students of mine that are out here doing positive things. And it just makes me so happy just to know that the people that came into my grasp and I see them now doing so many positive things out here in the world. It just enlightens me. And when he asked me to be here tonight before you, it was an honor. I was so excited. It was almost like, the birth of my first child or something, because anytime I have the pleasure of serving one of my students, ex-students, I'm filled with joy.
Well, that's a testament to how important he is, and obviously how important we are to him. But like I said, we're gonna go into how we met, and take about half hour of y'all time, and just go into just the influence of this man right here, and how it bounced off to so many people who to this day remember everything that was done to them or done for them. And I did say to them, and for them, over this last 40 years or so, My first question, Doc,
Yes.
when did you get into sports and coaching and stuff?
Well, I've always been an athlete all through school. I played football.
Hold on, Doc, we got a call. This is the fitness report. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. This is Amber, originally from Colford, currently from Chicago, Illinois. How are you
What's
all?
going on, Amber?
Jackson?
Hello, Amber. How are you?
Fine. How are you? I'm so glad to see you all working together and see the work that you're doing together this afternoon. I had a question.
Go ahead.
Both of you. I want to know what does fitness and what does wellness mean to you all, to both of you? Like, what does it mean? How has it impacted your lives?
Go ahead.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you this. Like I said, the reason why I have Dr. Jackson as my guest is because um, growing up early, I wanted to be, I wanted to stay in shape, as a kid. And it was only one way to do it. You had to work out. But Jabori didn't really like working out. He more so liked to be active and play sports and stuff like that. So I never really had a coach to push me in that way, because being in the city, you get looked over a lot, especially when you're not the tallest, you're not the biggest. So for me to align myself with Dr. Jackson, it made fitness. It turned what I love to do into what I can eventually do forever, which is stay in shape. So it was important to me because of how it was brought to me, and seeing that I didn't really, embrace it at first. This man right here helped me embrace it and turn it into something that was worth living, living in that way for like the rest of your life. So that's what it was for me.
And for me, I grew up in a family of 9, like I said earlier, and health wasn't important in my family. Of 9 kids, I was in the middle, so I had 4 older than me and 4 younger than me, and I saw people in my family die of alcoholism, drug abuse. I saw people eating improperly in my family, so I lost a lot of uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters. And as a kid, I always said to myself, I didn't want to be like the adults in my family. So I'll never forget when I was in high school, my counselor, I was sitting there getting my classes, and he put me in wood shop, auto shop, metal shop. And I told him, I don't want to get dirty when I grow up, and he looked at me like, what are you talking about? You're going to be a blue collar worker. I don't know where I got that inspiration from, but I chose to be something different from what I grew up with. I chose to learn from the adults in my family, their mistakes. I wanted to be different. So as a kid, I used to jog in my neighborhood, and folks was like, what you running for? You snatched a purse or you robbed somebody?
Right.
And no, I was just jogging. I wanted to stay in shape. And I wouldn't eat things that my mother cooked sometimes. And she was like, boy, aren't you hungry? Because we aren't eating till the next meal. And so I would stay hungry until the next meal. And so I was just wanting to be different. I never smoked a cigarette in my life. Cancer cigarettes killed my mother and my uncle, and alcohol killed some of my family members. And so I always chose to be different. And I said to myself, I'm gonna always promote fitness. I'm gonna always promote keeping your body as healthy as possible. And that's how I never thought I would be coaching and working with young people though at that time.
Right. No, thank you for your perspective. And I know of both of you all's work, and I know that passion for fitness and wellness shines through in
Yep.
all the work and your desire to be focused and do things a little differently to get things done. And we appreciate you for that. And thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Amber. Have a great day.
Bye now.
All right. So, so we're gonna get into the beef and broccoli of this whole situation. And like I was telling them earlier, we met because the teammates brought me to you.
Yes.
It was like, this is Jabori. He's from Chicago, and he's coming. He wants to be on the team. We know he can play, but we want to see, we want you to see him, see what he got, this, that, and the other. And like I said, like I told the audience, I was like, I didn't think much of it, but I saw this man who gave off something from the time you see him. It was something that this man would give off that you can attach yourself to and kind of ensure that everything was going to be okay. So even on the surface, you saw a reason to be around this person. And me not making the varsity team the year prior in Harvey, I was on a mission to make the team. So to align myself to someone who I respected on and off the court, even before I could just tell this was someone that I was going to respect. no matter where I was, no matter what situation I was in. And like I said, when I first got, because it was like hell week. Okay, all right. Now we both Marines, so that's one thing we had in common. At at the time, of course, I wasn't in the military. He had already did his stint, in Vietnam. So we knew all of that, and it was like, all right, well, he crazy. That's one. All right, he done been through it all, and he just so happened to be coaching the sport that you want to be a part of for the rest of your life, if possible. Okay, this might not work because how do we level this off?
Well, I'll tell you this: to most coaches out there, they look for talent, only talent, and what Gabori didn't understand that all my basketball managers and ball boys was always kids with special need. I always felt like
Mhm.
kids with special need and kids that had learning disabilities was always left out. So I always made sure kids that had disabilities was always part of my team. And what Gabori didn't understand is that I wasn't bothered so much about his talent. I just knew I had a young man from Chicago who had very little family in this town and knew very few people who wanted to be attached to something. So I wasn't concerned about how talented he was. I was more so concerned about turning this kid into a young man that could be productive in today's society. So I taught very little X's and O's, but I taught more so about life skills. And when you teach discipline, hard work, and solid life skills, then it will transform onto the court into a winning tradition. And what the kids didn't understand that I was looking further down the road than they were.
Right, that's true. That's true. So when we would, like I said, when I met him and we first connected, we had they everybody talked about the tryout, and of course I knew nothing of the tryout. I just knew I was in pretty good shape. Didn't know it was gonna be like that though. So I'll tell you this: first week I meet this man on the court, like I said, it was hell week. You know, um, we go through a full week of exercising. Basically, what the last day we get the ball?
Yeah, you didn't touch a ball for the whole week. We
Yeah,
ran, and I did listening skills, and I pushed these young men to the limit physically and mentally, just to see and show them more so of how far they could go and how much they didn't know they had in them. See, conditioning and working out is a fearful thing.
yes
You
it is.
know, when you push your body to a limit that you think you can go, then there's someone else trying to convince you that you
That
can
you can
go
go further.
further. And when you
I heard
see
it
that you can
before.
go further, then there's no greater feeling to know that you've accomplished something that your body had already told you that was impossible.
Right,
So I made my kids see that the impossible was possible, and I wanted to make them into not just ordinary people, but extraordinary people.
right. And if you guys have ever listened to me speak on health and fitness, as far as my clientele and like when I train my clients, I always let them know this is how much you think you can do. But to get with someone else that's motivating you to do more, you guys are gonna pretty much come together to a compromise that might be more than what you thought alone. And to put yourself with somebody who's pushing you harder, you're gonna get something more out of yourself than what you thought you could do. But guess what? You were alone. So seeing that you're not alone anymore, you might as well go ahead and just combine it with the thoughts of someone else and get more out of it.
I can honestly tell you this that in my 28 years of coaching basketball, that I never tested a kid more so than I tested Gabori. And I don't know if he's gonna understand this story that I'm about to tell, but he'll know what happened was we had a serious game against a number two team in the state coming up, and it was a snowstorm, and only two players showed up for practice, and so I had to show the kids that if they didn't care, I didn't care because I drove 43 miles to the gym through a snowstorm to practice, and they lived right around the corner
Right.
from the school
Yep.
and never showed up for practice. So I wanted to show the kids if they don't give a rip, what can happen when you don't prepare. So that particular Tuesday, we got to school Monday and they were like, "Hey, we got this big game tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I only started the two kids that showed up and the three seniors, and we lost by 43 points. And I didn't coach the team. When the game started, I
Yeah.
told them, I'm not coaching tonight because you don't care. Why should I? So when the game
Oh,
started, I just sit there and we got blew out. It was my worst defeat in all my years of coaching. And the papers blew up about it. Oh, Coach Jackson got beat by 43 points. And at halftime, the kids was wondering, when am I going to give them the big rah rah
Right.
coaching scenario at halftime? And I went and said, "Hey, I'm going back out there and finish getting this butt whooping. I don't know about you all, but why should I prepare for something that you didn't come to practice for me to prepare
Yep.
with?" And so it was really funny because going home that night, the bus was totally quiet. The kids knew they had really got ripped apart, but they also knew they hadn't prepared, and the coach didn't care, and they didn't care. And so a week later, as the season extended, it was possible that we would meet that same team if we went our district in the regional championship. And
Yep.
so we won our district, but the kids knew that we're about to face a team that already beat us by 43 points. Well, this is what I did to Gabori. I made him guard a 6'9" All-American. Now Gabori was 5'7",
Five,
5'8",
5'8", yeah,
whatever,
5'7", 5'7"
and
then.
I made him guard a 6'9" All-American. And all the kids was like, "Wait a minute, we're gonna lose again by 43." Partee was the only senior on that team. And what I told the kids that last time you didn't come to practice. Now
Right.
we got a week to prepare for a team to beat us by 43 points. I said, if you guys keep the game close enough within 5 points in the fourth quarter, I will coach you through this game.
Right.
But I need your help. I need you to give me 3 quarters. Okay, going into the fourth quarter, if we're only down 5, I can coach you through it. But I gave Partee the biggest task. So at halftime, it was close, but not close enough.
Right.
And so I needed,
we were down to halftime.
yeah, I needed to do something to spark the other kids. So,
through me.
I had to get to the toughest guy and their senior leader, and something that would get me fired today. I pushed him to the limit. I put my hands on him in front of all the other kids, and I challenged him. And the kids were like, "Oh my God, if coach is doing Gabori like that and he's the toughest guy on the team, what does the rest of us got coming?" And let me tell you, long story short, we got within 5 points of the fourth quarter. And those kids ran to me and said, okay, we've done what you asked us to do. Now you deliver on what you promised us that you can do. And we won that game.
We won that championship.
And
we
won that
championship.
and shocked the whole world and the state of Michigan.
So look, okay, so I got to go into detail just a bit on how that happened. We were in the locker room and we're down. I don't know if we were down by 10 or by 1. I don't even remember
We
how
were down
much.
double figures.
Right. So he's ranting and going at it with us, and it's not like we never lost before, or not like we didn't. We got blew out once or twice, but that particular game that we lost to them, it was just no effort. And we remember looking at him on the bench like, you got to coach at least for 5 minutes. 0 minutes did he coach that game.
That's right.
We had one highlight during that game, if I'm not mistaken. We had, I think at the beginning of the game, I got a block. Got a nice block shot on one of the big men. The other, because they had 2 big men. The other one was at least 6'6".
Yes.
Came through the lane, swatted it out of there like I'm a big man. We lost by 1,000. So this particular time we get in the locker room and he's just all over us because once again we're doing that same thing. We're not listening. We're not doing what we're supposed to. And that same team is looking to advance. And we're playing them. They just beat us. This maniac comes towards me and I'm squatted down, minding my own business, and he goes and hits me with a two-hand, just like that, both my ears.
Yeah, I had to challenge him.
You should have seen how everybody looked. Everybody looked at me like, whoa.
Yeah. And when I slammed him into the locker, they thought I had lost my mind. But I was on top of things. But I wanted to get that extra out of them that they didn't know they had. And the only way to do that is start with the leader. Party was the leader of that team. The kids admired him and looked up to him. He got in such good shape that, all my sprints and runs, he was always in the top 10%. So they knew he was the leader. He was a senior. And I never showed my seniors any favoritism.
Right.
I told my seniors that,
that's true.
After me is you. So I expect you to lead by example,
Yep.
And so he was a true leader. And the only way I could get that extra 10% out of those guys and win that game, because the team we playing, they had never lost all season.
Yep.
And they had blew everybody out all season. So what I wanted these kids to know, that if we put them in an uncomfortable position as being in a close game, and that coach got to confront me as a coach, he got to put his talent on the line of my talent. I knew I could get him. And Party and his crew, they made that happen.
Shout out to Eddie Burton.
Yes.
Shout out to Jimmy Jackson and Terrell and who was it? Travis Oliver.
Yes.
Young.
You had
Dwayne Swan.
Yes. You had a bunch of young freshmen on that team as well.
And for a while it was me and 4 freshmen.
Absolutely.
Tim White.
Yes.
What was his name? Jerry Mahone.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a nice little team.
And I've never had a senior with 4 freshmen on the floor in all my years of coaching. And that's why the challenge for you, Gabor, was so extraordinary, that to see you deliver like that and lead those young men, it was something to see, man. I mean, that story needed to be told so often.
Yeah, that was something. And I'll tell you this. He pushed us so hard that eventually senior year would come, and at the end of the season, we're like, man, we're all thinking, how do we stay attached to this man through, as far as being influenced by him? So you go over those years, I wasn't there long, and I wasn't part of the tribe to begin with, but I fell right into a good situation. And if I'm looking at myself from a physical standpoint, I'm like, you know what, I'm in great shape. I think I might want to do a little bit more of what this man is all about. So I thought about the physical stuff we used to do. We used to do hundreds of push-ups.
Yes.
Hundreds of push-ups.
3-mile runs before practice even began.
3-mile runs.
3-mile runs.
And little did I know, this was all the things that the Marine Corps was going to do. Yes. I didn't know that because, of course, I didn't think about going to the military. But once that season was over, I'm like, you know what? I see Marines at practice.
Yes.
We got military guys at practice. Like I said, Coach Jackson was a Marine. Coach Baber was an Army vet. Mr. Brown, he was an Army guy. Mm-hmm. We had military guys who really thought about what they looked like and how they presented themselves. Mm-hmm. So when we would get together after the season was over, we would, me personally, I'm like, how can I stay attached to this man? So I decided to join the Marine Corps.
Yes.
And even though I went to school a little bit, couldn't get in for asthma reasons. Mm-hmm. But when I finally got in, all I could think of was those days of practice.
Yes.
Those hundreds of push-ups, those hundreds of sit-ups, those hundreds of leg lifts, the 3-mile run, everything that we would do once I got to military boot camp. And this man was at the forefront of my mind, because I knew that if I could do that practice that we did,
right,
this boot camp gonna be a breeze. I don't care who it is. It could be the toughest Marine. If I could do that practice,
Right.
then it was all good. And I'll tell you a quick story of how I knew when I was ready to move it, because I got in trouble one time with a teacher. And I was being disrespectful to a teacher. And she told on me. And why she do that? That was like a setup. It almost got me killed. So I get to practice the next day. He confronted me about it. I see you being disrespectful, whatever. This man, that day, this man made me do 109. I counted him. Now I'm an 18-year-old. He made me do 109 push-ups in a row. Not counting the number though. Him just standing there saying up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I wanted to take the challenge because everybody over there falling apart.
Yeah.
But he coming to me,
Yeah.
captain, because I got in trouble.
Well, you see,
Oh my!
so many times these young coaches today, they make excuses for the superstars, and all they doing is wrecking those young men. I think you should hold everybody accountable for their actions, and it should start in high school, because if I'm honored to work with somebody else's child, then that's my duty to give that child the best I can to make them solid citizens. So when I see kids disrespectful in school, I think it's best they learn that at 12, 13, 14, 15 than 25 and 30.
True.
So I try to teach my kids that self-respect, discipline, goes a long way. And not just in basketball or football or sports, but you need to respect people throughout life. So I think life skills are more important than X's and O's. And too many coaches today, they worry about winning a game instead of teaching life skills, because that game is just one game, but you got to live your life, a whole life, and you're going to be remembered by how you treat people.
Yes.
And that's what I try to teach you all and all my kids that came through my program.
Yep, and we appreciate you for it. There's not a day that goes by that Dr. Jackson doesn't get props and praise over just what he did for one, the city of Covert. Not even living there, not even, I don't think you've ever lived in Covert.
No, I never lived there. I just
never lived there.
Drove there every day, 43 miles. I would drive into town and give you guys my very best, and girls.
Yep.
I mean,
and girls. Shout out to the females.
I tried to be the father, the uncle, the brother that a lot of those kids didn't have. I'm gonna tell you this, good boy. You might not know this, but I met your real father about 2 years ago.
Yep.
And he approached me, and we had never met. And he approached me. He said, "Man, I've heard about you so much." He said, "But I just want to tell you that at a time in my life when I had to pass the baton to another man to deal with my son, I'm so thankful that God put him in the hands of you. I'm so thankful because he praised you so much." And that was a big honor to me, because when a father come and tell me that, it means I did something right, know, and so I got the biggest praise in the world from your father.
Yeah, that was big on him. And my entire family appreciated it. My mom, my grandfather, my grandparents, just everybody appreciated how you basically, like me not even knowing you, how you basically took and helped me become a man.
Yeah. That's important to me. I didn't have that growing up. So I made a promise to myself that, every young man that come in front of me, and woman, I mean, I taught my girls lady skills that some of them, kids don't,
Juicy.
Kids don't have a choice as to who their parents is going to be. And some of my kids was living in some tough situations. And so when they got to school, it was my job to show them this is the right way to do things. You can't curse and yell and scream to get your point across and feel that you're going to be respected. So I had to do a lot of discipline and a lot of teaching. And I say that to you teachers out there. Now I'm going out a little farther. When you are in control of other people's children, you owe it to yourself to give those kids your very, very, very best. Now, I know some kids come from dismal situation, terrible home life, but you're not working with the kid's parents. You're working with that child. So, do me a favor. Do what you can, the best that you can for each and every child that you're in front of. Treat every child like you would want your child treated, and teach every child like you would want your child taught.
Yep, that's good advice. This man, like I said from the start, this man was special to me, and I know I echo the sentiment of a lot of other players out there and students. That name, Mr. Jackson, ring bells from Michigan, Indiana, all the way out to California, the East Coast, everywhere I've gone in the military. I was at war, and we're talking about Dr. Jackson.
Oh wow, that was the
You know,
story.
I'm
Yeah,
in D.C. We're
yes.
talking about Dr. Jackson, and the good thing about it, we got a few minutes left. Good thing about it is that once I entered the Marine Corps, I end up doing a lot of what my mentor did. You know,
Yes.
I worked for the president. I worked, not directly, but I was in D.C. at Eighth and I.
Embassy duty.
Did some security forces. Um, uh, man,
Just
it
let
was.
me just say this. I'm glad that he brought something up because I had went to two or three different school districts since I had Parti Gabori under my tutelage. And Gabori was in a war zone. And I think it was the Gulf War. I forget which
It
war.
was. It was. Oh, it was the second Iraqi war.
It was in the Iraqi war. And Gabori was a sergeant that led a squad twice, two tours of duty. And they were in the squad bay. They had brought all came back to the country safe and intact, led by Gabor Parti, Sergeant Parti. And a couple of guys started mentioning their high school coach from different school districts. They was talking about their high school coach. So Gabor was coming through the squad bay and they mentioned Coach Jackson. And come to find out that Gabor had led four guys to war twice and brought them back safe. And all these guys had played high school ball for me.
Yeah.
That was exciting to hear.
Yeah, and even a couple of females when you turned administrator, even a few of the females, pretty much the same thing.
Yes,
They had gone over, and
yes.
matter of fact, they didn't even see the war, but they had gone over. But to finish it off, basically, I want you to let them know before we go what are you doing today? What's life like now? I know you retired and you just chilling.
You know what? I'm a consultant for Nova Southeastern University. That's out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I do a little consultant work on the side, but every day is Saturday for me. I enjoy my life. Every day is people like you make it so pleasant to be who I am. I'm one blessed and fortunate young man. And I say young man because I'm 66 now, but I'm still looking good.
Yeah.
And that's because I try to eat good and do the right things with my body.
So what do
And
you do? What do you do? What do you do for working out and stuff? What's your workout
I go
week?
to hot yoga. I do hot yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays on 53rd Street in Hyde Park. Core Power Yoga. I work out on Mondays and Wednesdays. I go to LA Fitness and do cardio on Monday, and then I do the weights on Thursday. So I try to keep as positive as possible with my body. I swim. I still try to eat the right
That marine
thing.
stuff.
So I tell you, when Gabori walks into the gym, I don't have the muscles that he have, but everybody was like, "Man, who is that gentleman over there?" I said, "Well, that's my son," they'll run to him and say, "Hey, is Doc your son? Is Doc your father?"
Yep.
And he's a yeah.
Yep.
So then I stick my little chest out.
Yep. So yeah. So
But yeah, it's a lot of fun being who I am, man.
that's good. We had to bring him on for the first show. Very important to me. Um, I plan on spending the rest of my life with this man.
Yes.
He's 66 years young, and I
Yes.
hope that he continues to take care of himself just like he always has been.
Yes.
Shout out to D.
Yes.
D, I hope you're watching. I got him out here in Westchester, and we just wanted to bring him to you to debut the show. This has been the fitness report brought to you by the fitness representative. Today's guest, like I said, was Dr. Jackson. And tune in for more. We'll be coming at you live weekly on Fridays. And you can catch topics. That number will be 708-223-8953. Dr. Jackson, it was great having you.
Oh, it's
Good
great
seeing you
being here.
again.
Oh man, it's a pleasure,
Yep.
man. I enjoyed myself.
And hope you guys tune in weekly. Much love. That will be the end. Peace.
What I do, transport to my spot. Think I'm turning up.